Well, hey everybody, welcome in to this first episode of the IAC Podcast. I hope everybody's well. I'm Travis Howe. The other guy there is Doug Wildermuth. Doug, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent. I texted you like 2 seconds ago. I don't know if you saw it or not. I don't know why, but I am really excited about this more than I have been most things lately. So I thank you for this. This is awesome, and I'm ready to go.
Well, I think it's probably we're still dealing with the corona. Maybe that has something to do with it, the extra excitement. I don't know.
I think it's because it's different. Our relationship has been going great over all these years, and every single year you surprise me a little bit more. And I really, because of maybe Corona, I really like these podcasts, the webcasts, the education that's gone to this field. And I think it helps. I think it helps the listeners. I think it helps the educators. I think it helps our providers. So any little bit of knowledge, even if it's for a great conference, I think it's going to help.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we're coming to you live on Facebook, and super excited about that. We can actually see some comments coming in and things like that. It looks like we have a few people on. But so, Doug, I think I just wanted to talk about the intent of this podcast, which is really just to create an extension of the conference. We've been at this for about a decade, and this is an idea that we had going into 2020. And of course, with the cancellation of IAC 2020, we had to punt this a little bit, but, just to create an extension that brings people closer to presenters and exhibitors or sponsors, and a way for us to talk about the upcoming conference, and just one more way to connect people, which is I think what we enjoy most about IAC is connecting people and ourselves to other people throughout the country that are involved in the field. So I'm really excited about it. And it looks like actually, we have a few guests tonight, Doug, and it looks like maybe our first guest is about ready to join us. So let's see if we can do this correctly with this new fancy.
Remember, it says episode 1 for a reason. This is our first trial.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's try this. How's that? So awesome. All right, that's working. Good. Hey, Brett Lyle is
awesome.
on.
Hey,
how
Brett.
You doing? Brett, how are things in Texas?
Hey, I'm well. How are y'all?
Good. Thanks for jumping on episode 1 here. Really appreciate it.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yep. Can hear you well.
Yeah, glad to hear me. I'm getting a little bit of a delay.
Okay.
So I'll
maybe it's a time zone.
just embrace that if you can hear me then. I don't know where you are. Well, I'm happy to be here and to be the first guest. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And
joining me in my living room.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm at my office, and Doug is nearby. We'll just say that we are socially distant, so that's good. But Brett, one of the things I wanted to talk about, you haven't been to IAC before, and I think we connected on LinkedIn.
I've not.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'm excited about is some of this coaching and assistance that you can bring people who are trying to find themselves or start a business or things like that. So but to start, do you want to just give the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So it's Brett Lyle. I actually spent about 8 years in EMS on the business development side. So not clinical. I say I don't play that on TV. Don't pretend to be. But I've always been on the kind of piece of that. And A&M in 2009. And one of the worst years to graduate college, probably up until this year, for quite some time. And so took a role at AMR in South Florida, and spent some time down there. Ended up going to Central Texas. So I was in San Antonio, a little bit of Austin market. Before I then moved to obviously primary air ambulance. I was representing the ground ambulance doing new market startup for them. So, a little bit all over the place geographically and organization wise. And did that until I got to, took a step out of EMS to the ocean. and that really Are y'all hearing me at all? Hello?
Yeah, getting bits and pieces, like it's really good at times, and then it cuts out. I'm not sure if how we're coming through to you.
Are y'all hearing me? In on my phone, maybe? I'm entering a backstage. Let's see. Okay. See. Sorry, I'm not.
No, you're good. You're fine.
Technology person, and I'm trying to figure this out as I go. Let me see if I can pull up my computer.
Well,
maybe a different device. I don't know. Did y'all hear?
No, really broken, but
Okay.
just trying to figure out.
I'm here.
I'm just reaching out to some people here to make sure our end is okay.
And Brett, I know that sometimes in these types of social media platforms, but I am by no means an expert. When we speak really fast, I don't know if that has anything to do with it, because you don't seem like you're rushing it, but at the same point, it just cuts out after a little bit. So as he's trying to figure that out.
Yeah, it looks like maybe she signed off. Maybe she can sign back in here and give it a shot.
That's
I do. Yeah. it does look, the stream is good on our end. So,
Okay.
but oh, hold on, I'm gonna put her back in the stream here. See,
No problem.
see what we got. Let's try this.
Okay. Are we here?
Yeah.
We hope so.
Give us a couple sentences. Let's see how it sounds.
I logged off of my home computer and I'm on my iPad. So hopefully maybe that makes a difference. I don't know.
Huge.
Oh yeah, it sounds much better. So,
Okay. Well,
so
there we go. Okay, I gotta reset my little situation, but we're here. Sorry for that. I was trying to figure out if my iPad or my computer or my phone would be a better option. So
I applaud you for quick thinking.
laptop to the rescue.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I think I'm good on charge. So I think we're in it.
Yeah. So in case you missed it, if anybody's just jumping on now, we've got Brett Lyle with us from Texas. And Brett, you want to just start over and give a little bit of background about yourself?
Sure, happy. So my name's Brett Lyle. Thank you for having me. You had asked about basically my
We can't catch a break.
It's saying
Yeah,
I'm muted.
Hold on. Okay. Sorry, I think that was my fault. We'll get this. We'll get this.
Are we there? Can you hear me now?
All right. Let's try it again. My thought I was muting myself there. Holy moly. Okay.
Okay, we're in it. Can you hear me? Okay, good deal. Well, so I'll keep it brief. So the third time's the charm. I started my career in EMS with AMR in South Florida. So actually really glad to be connected to you guys because you guys are different experts than I am for sure. My expertise is in business development. So really more on the community relations, customer engagement, satisfaction, but also the internal piece of what that means. So working with crews, I worked at a couple different agencies on what is customer service and how does that translate and how can you be good at customer service and also good at patient care and kind of melding those two worlds of what the customer wants, whether that's the hospital, the facility, nursing staff, and the patient with what you're there to do clinically and how do you kind of find the balance of those two worlds was a lot of what I spent my career doing. So started my career in South Florida with AMR. I'm from Texas originally and went to Texas A&M. And when I graduated with a communication major, nothing to do with EMS at all. It was, one of the worst years to graduate, they said, since the Depression. Of course, maybe this year might trump that. But my mom had been in EMS and so kind of planted the seed and thought it might be a good place to start and kick off my career. And, she wasn't wrong. So I spent 3 years with AMR and before I moved up to North Texas and was in Fort Worth with MedStar Mobile Healthcare in a business development manager role. So again, kind of learning our customers and clients and working with a lot of community boards and initiatives. And there at MedStar, they're pretty well known for mobile healthcare initiatives. And so worked with the clinical programs manager there to basically get, mobile healthcare programs up and running and managed well and spoken about and all that. So it was a cool experience. And then kind of rounded out my business development and EMS career with a director of business development role for Air Medical Group Holdings, formerly, which is now part of the Global Medical Response brand. But I worked for the ground ambulance division of an air medical company. So I did that for them across a handful of states and had a handful of really incredible account managers that I worked with in the Southeast. And that's really my career. And so now I'm was doing that. And when I left from AMGH in 2017, December 18, really took a step back and took a long, hard look at what I wanted to do and what fulfillment looked like for me in my career and professionally and personally, and started diving into coaching. And so I've been doing this for the last couple of years, really pretty heavily focused on professional development, frankly, just because there's a big need for it right now. But personal development, professional development, really helping people find their passions and live lives that they're happy with. I mean, as simple as it sounds, you're helping people with that. So that's kind of where I am today. So yeah.
So that's the coaching end of it is just, it's really exciting to me, because especially as it relates to, bringing you to IAC and being able to help people, because, I think, Doug, and I'm sure you hear it all the time as well, is that we hear EMS as kind of either a stepping stone career or a dead end career, right? And maybe it's not EMS related. Maybe, as you said, it's helping somebody find their actual passion or whatever it is, starting their own business, or maybe they want to be a speaker, or whatever the case may be, an instructor, taking that next step. But, we have a lot of talented people, and I'm not sure that they always have a lot of people in their corner,
Right.
especially at agencies where, elections are sometimes maybe a popularity contest, or it's hard to kind of move up the ladder. And sometimes people think that they need to hold a certain position in order to advance. So,
Right.
as it relates to IAC and what you're talking about, I'm really excited, because hopefully bringing you in, you can start to connect with some people and extract some excitement out of them and push them towards their goals and dreams and whatever it is.
Yeah, well, that's the goal. I mean, I think ultimately, the thing about EMS, and a friend and I, another industry leader, was talking today, it is an industry full of passionate people that really care and want to make a difference in the world. And that's hard to say about any one industry. And so I shared my story so you guys can understand kind of why I got to where I did, because I'll be very honest, I had a non-compete, and my experience was not all, butterflies and rainbows. And I tried so hard, I felt like, to affect change and to show people and to explain things to people. And I was met with a lot of resistance. And I did that at AMR. And again, it's not about AMR. It's not about any of the agencies. It's a culture. And there are cultures. There's some really incredible agencies that I did work with, that I worked in, and I had really incredible experiences. But, lo and behold, I didn't feel like I was getting that fulfillment from my career. And so when I was given that opportunity to really take a step back at 30 years old, I was fortunate that my career progressed. I think a combination of fortune and hard work, because I've always valued networks. I've always valued mentorship. And frankly, I every position that I've been in EMS, may sound braggy, but I'm proud to say it was because of relationships that I had and a name that I built for myself. And so being able to even kind of brand yourself to say, this is what I'm good at. I mean, people know, whether it's because they believe I'm good at it or because I tell them I'm good at it, they know who I am. And so you're either buying what I'm selling or you're not, but at least we're talking about it, and I think that's the big piece that a lot of people miss, is because in this industry, we're so concerned with, well, what are people going to think? And does that position me, or does it make me, are people going to think I'm competing? And people are so concerned with everything else that they forget about themselves and the fact of taking care of yourself, whether that's serving your own personal interests or serving your agency or your role. All of those things benefit everybody around you. When you're better for yourself, you're better for everybody around you.
Well, I'll tell you, Brett, this sounds really, really refreshing. And it's definitely something we need in our field, especially in the Northeast. I'm looking at you on the speaker panel that we have for our website. And under your picture is your name, and some of the comments right below your name is first one, listener, planner, writer, coach. And it's those types of values that you're going to be able to go ahead and impart on our participants. I think it's going to be invaluable because we need more of that in our field. There's no doubt. And ironically, everything in the Northeast with EMS is very similar to South Florida, very similar in Texas, with a lot of our volunteer agencies. I'm sure our paid are very similar as well, but again, I think our paid companies also have experts like yourself that can also help them.
Sure. There are incredible. And I just have to say for you guys, my time crunches, I've got time. So if we're good, you just let me know. But yeah, I think that's the big thing is that there are so many people, and you guys hit the nail on the head. People always want to talk about what's wrong. If I had a penny for every time somebody said, well, leaders don't listen, my manager doesn't care, there's no opportunity. It's like, ugh. And maybe it's the way I was raised, but it's like your environment is what you make of it. And you can feel sorry for yourself, or you can pick yourself up by the bootstraps and keep it moving,
Mm-hmm.
And so where my passion is there are those people in the industry who it's time for them to keep it moving, right? But there's people who are in the industry who I think, unfortunately, for the industry, have so much passion, have so many great ideas, but they don't feel heard. And so what do? They leave, right? They go pursue other industries. They go, even within healthcare, they go do other things. And so my real passion, and it's not EMS specific, but because that's my background, I feel like I can connect with people in a way. My hope is I get some good time to do that at this conference and really learn people. Because you can't learn somebody if you're not willing to take the time to listen. And you can't help people if you don't ask the questions.
Absolutely.
So I know we're working out the final details on what IAC 2021 looks like for you specifically. But I know one of the things we talked about was some possible time slots for some individual one-on-one time with you, and that may be just a chat over coffee. But somebody, a sounding board, if you will, somebody who can probably relate in some way and steer somebody in the right direction. So I'm excited about that. And then, and I know you have to go as well soon, but what about the Emergent Leadership Podcast? Do you want to give a little bit of info on that?
I do. Again, I think I've been really fortunate in my career. I built some relationships with the folks over at GEMS, and so the Journal of EMS magazine, I'm sure you guys know it. And they approached us. They approached me probably about a month ago, maybe a little longer, that they wanted to get some energy around their podcast. And so I, as a very token millennial, I go on videos a lot. If you go jump over to my LinkedIn, which I would love to connect, with whomever in the industry. I post a lot of tips and tools on how to network and LinkedIn content, personal branding, confidence building, all of that kind of ties into this conversation. But because I put myself out there and I've been pretty vulnerable about what I'm doing and how I want to help, Jim's approached me to do a podcast. And so super excited. I had full creative, ownership of it, which is a really unique opportunity. And so it's called Emergent Leadership. And my goal is to do exactly what we're talking about right now. Just shine a light on all the positive, but not just the positive in like, we're going to act like the bad things don't happen. No, we're going to talk about them, but talking about the challenges and the obstacles, but also the tools and the resources and the success stories of leaders in the industry and how they lean on each other and mentorship. And so really diving into personal stories and experiences from some really incredible leaders in the EMS, public safety, healthcare space. So we've had 3 so far. I'm putting them out on Mondays, late in the day, afternoon/early evening. So far, Tim Nowak, who is obviously an expert at building a brand online, LinkedIn. Also spoke with Arnie Rodriguez, who is the chief of EMS in Austin Travis County in Texas. And so far this week, David Patterson, who is the CEO of Falck in Colorado. And I've got 11 others locked and loaded that I am just so excited to share. So it's about spreading the message, guys, that, leadership is not some pie in the sky idea. It's something we're all doing every day. And this podcast, and I think everything that I'm really passionate about, is being mindful in what you're leading and how you're leading and who you're leading, because you're always leading something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it, and I'm happy to be here. I'm really excited about IAC. I think, Travis, as you had mentioned, it is my first conference, so it'll be a unique experience for me, but I also believe it's the first time that any conference has had coaching as part of the lineup. So paving the path, I'm really proud to be a part of that, and think it'll be a great opportunity to really, like you said, connect with people on a one-on-one level. I think a lot of these conferences that we go to, you can get out of it. You can sit in a room, half the time you're paying half attention, answering emails and doing stuff. I don't have any interest in that. I like to engage. It's about, let's talk about the hard stuff, because leadership and concept is easy, but I can read a book to learn that stuff. So this is about getting with attendees and diving into the deep stuff and going to what are the challenges and how do we work through them, and how do you use your network to find that fulfillment and that success for you so that you're better for everyone around you, whether that's, again, your agency, yourself, your family, your peers, your patients. So it's about diving deep. I'm excited.
Yeah,
Great comment.
I can't wait. So let's see. Now, Brett, I know you have to sign off real quick, but have you been to upstate New York yet in your travels?
I haven't. So it'll like I said, it's going to be a totally culture experience. I spent you mentioned South Florida being similar to New York. It's because half of y'all come down.
Absolutely.
And I learned a term the other day. I was talking to somebody in one of the Carolinas for my podcast, and he said there's what do they call it? It's like it's called a half bird or something. I never heard the term.
Snowbird?
No, it's basically the concept of the New Yorkers and the Northeast folks going down to Florida, and then they get halfway back up because they realize it's too cold, too cold versus too hot. So that's like the meet in the middle people.
Gotcha.
I had some friends from New York when I was a friend at NYU when I was there, and so I went up to visit her. So I've been to the city, but I've never been to upstate New York. So I'm really anxious to see this city we're going to be in and meet all of you guys in person. So thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely,
I love it.
Thanks for signing on, and thanks for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it, and I hope you have a good evening.
You too. Hey, before you go, I'm dorky like this. We're going to take a selfie, so just smile so I can put it on my Instagram. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Perfect. I know. I told you, token millennial. Awesome. You got a warning. Okay, we'll see you later. Nice to meet you guys, and I'm excited to see you soon.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right,
so Doug, that's that's going to be, I think it's going to be a really nice addition. It's something I think a little different.
Think she's got a little energy in her?
you need some motivation. There it is. That's
great.
Awesome. And, I know, we're talking a little bit about the schedule, which is part of the purpose of tonight. And, the app is updated. The schedule is now released. So if anybody is out there wondering how they can look at the schedule, there's two ways. You can download the IAC app by searching for IAC 2021 in the App Store or on Google Play, or you can go to the website. You can go to initialassessmentconference.com and you can check that out. But Doug, we're going to keep cruising here. I think we have a couple more guests ready to
we do.
In.
But we did this in our last presentation. I just want to make sure that everybody knew the dates. It's May 5th through the 9th of 2021. Kicking right off with the golf tournament on Wednesday the 5th, concluding on Sunday the 9th. And we want to get to more details of the conference in between all our guests. But at the same point, go right ahead.
Yeah, no, that's great. So awesome. So it looks like we have there's Doctor and Doctor. Dr. Scott Bourne and Dr. Maya Dorsett. How are you guys doing? Hold on. Do we have them muted
Checking,
too? Hold
checking
on.
the sound again.
I've unmuted myself. Sorry.
Awesome. Welcome.
Let's get Scott unmuted here. Here we go.
Okay.
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect's as good as it gets.
Okay.
Hey, Maya.
Welcome, both of you.
Well, thanks for having us.
How are you guys? What's new?
Nothing very much. Just
That's
running
right.
around the errands. It's a little hotter in upstate New York than it typically is, so I just got in from walking the dog, so I'm a little hot, but I made it, so we're good.
There you go. And I'm in Colorado. It's about 96 here, so it's a little warm here as well. But we're having trouble suffering with the 35% humidity we have. So life's hard.
See, I would have guessed like 40 and snowing in Colorado.
If we were up high enough, we just got some snow on the high peaks last week. So it's all about elevation.
Nice.
But I'll bet you didn't call us here to talk about the weather.
Probably.
No, we didn't. Thank you both for chiming in. Dr. Dorsett here is a IAC regular at this point. And Scott, I don't know if you're going to make it in for IAC 2021, but we are doing the NAEMSP quality course, right? Which is a fairly new offering. Anybody want to talk
I think
about
we're if we're doing the course, I will plan to be there. So it'll be nice to meet all of you. I'll frame the course a little bit. This will be our 5th year of doing the course. It started as an NAMSP pre-con 4 years ago. Kevin Mackey and I did the first year, and then we joined up with Michael Redliner and the Quality and Safety Committee and started making some fairly large changes with the course. And then Maya came to us, I'd say about a year ago. Maya, does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think so.
And suggested that maybe it was time for us to start thinking about regional courses because our goal from the inception was to create a community of people within NAMSP and within EMS in general who understood how to measure quality and how to improve it. Maya's request that we make it more accessible to local audiences was perfect. And so we've been working with Maya some on that for the last year. And Maya, I'll let you frame it from the New York side.
Yeah. My perspective of it, and I've been not teaching this particular course, but teaching a quality course regionally, is I think in EMS, we really have to think about quality differently. So my experience is you come into an agency and an agency has a quality officer, and in most agencies that means that there's some person who's now the one who reads charts and sends people flags, and that people get a QA flag and it's a dirty word and it's all negative. And really it's not about sort of quality assurance and reading charts. It's really how do we take better care of our patients and how do we use data to find better ways to take care of our patients and then come up with innovations that we track and measure to see if our intentions of what we're trying to do better actually work. And I think that requires a lot of reframing. And, one of my primary roles in EMS is I'm the medical director for a paramedic program, and I do a lot of paramedic education. And this isn't part of core content anywhere. Like nowhere in regular EMS training do they teach you how do you actually think about quality? What does quality improvement really mean? And I think it's for our specialty of medicine to move forward. I think this is something that we really need to know. And part of that is actually giving the people tools to think about things differently and then implement those projects within their own agency. And so the goal of this course is to give people a background to help them with the reframing of how do we think about this. But then the goal is not just to talk about things, it's to actually give people tools and have them the tool of the model of improvement. And how do you go back to your agency and say, this is an issue, let's look at the data, let's actually take an approach of how do you actually implement improvement science to make a difference at your agency and ultimately the community of patients that you're taking care of. And I think New York is primed to do this because at the state level, they're also thinking about this. At the state level, they're putting out quality measures that are soon going to be measured across all the different EMS agencies. And so I think we're really poised to say, okay, we're going to be releasing quality measures. How do we make sure that there's education in place to have people understand how to interpret those? And also when you find issues, right, like how do we actually go about make a difference in a productive way rather than just punishing people for not meeting a metric, which I think has been what the culture in EMS has been for a long time.
More than a long time.
Well, I'll offer more than a long time perspective, perhaps more of a long time than you guys can offer. But I think Maya really hit the nail on the head. When I first started practicing, we had paper charts, very few standards, and no evidence to base those standards on. And so the role of a medical director was really to review my charts and say, I like what you did, I didn't like what you did. Or you did your skills well, you're 100% on your IVs, attaboy, or you're not doing so well on that. And over the last 40 years, we've progressed from no data to some data to now almost too much data. And at the same time, we've gone from, when I first started practicing, emergency medicine wasn't even a specialty, much less EMS as a subspecialty. So if we'd wanted to create evidence-based guidelines, there was no science or even a specialty in which to frame that. Now we fast forward and we have a lot of people who were brought up in that same kind of generational thinking of read the chart, look for compliance, punish the non-performers. Sounds somewhat familiar? But the reality is there's two things that we didn't know. There's a lot of things we didn't know, but there's two that are really super important. The first is quality is a system issue. It's hardly ever an individual paramedic issue, or even an individual medical director issue. Oftentimes people will make the analogy on a professional sports team, there's still the worst performer and there's the best performer. The job of the team is to take that team and win. And they focus on working as a team, not on what to do with the worst performer. And EMS and medicine, actually practicing medicine is the same way. When we see quality flaws, they're almost always system-based, which means that taking me out behind the woodshed and training me is not likely to solve our problem. And then the other thing that we never understood was, even if I understand the practice of medicine and I understand what's expected and I understand our data, oftentimes people just look at their data and they kind of wish that things will get better, or they'll write memos, or they yell at people, or they'll do financial incentives, or they'll give out Starbucks cards or whatever. And what we didn't really get for the longest time is there is a discipline and a specialty to improvement. There's a whole thing called improvement science. And when you learn about that, suddenly you have, as Maya said so well, a whole ton of tools as to how you can change your system to get the performance that you want. So it's a really good time to be doing the kind of work that we're doing and to be a quality officer or to be a medical director, because as we educate more people and we get a bigger community within EMS that knows about this, we have people who can look at the data, respond to the data, and know about the science of improvement and change their system. So that's what the course is all about.
That sounds phenomenal. In the late 90s, I can remember the QA/QI people just being avoided, like do not talk to them. They only want to make the medical director happy. And that was the underlying statement. That's because the medical director said so. That's why. There was no data.
Right.
So now to move not only with science, but also with data and cooperative efforts through people like yourselves to go ahead and expand even further to improve our field, it's mind-blowing. This is awesome.
Well, and I'll put in a plug for the New York course in that the fundamental, when NAMSP first came to Kevin and I, and we talked about what is it we're trying to achieve with this course and with the chapter in the medical director's book and all that sort of thing, it was really to create a community of people who knew how to do this so they could teach other people to know how to do this, so they could support one another as they grow in their skills. That's why when Maya came and said, let's do a regional course and let's do it in New York, the idea of a regional course, we can argue whether New York was the right place to go, but the idea of, I know. But the idea of creating a community in New York that then could help other people in New York. And as the new guys come in, they could start to learn and then start infecting the neighboring states. That's just perfect.
Let me ask you, is this going to be the first course in New York?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, and depending on timing, you ought to know you'll be the first regional course, quite likely.
Sweet.
We have a couple of other states that are starting to tool up.
Yeah, North Carolina is like working on.
Yeah.
You know.
So even if you're not the first, you guys really get the name of pioneers, because Maya has represented you well and has worked hard on trying to help us translate what we were doing in a pre-con setting to what would make sense in New York. Quite honestly, the work that she's doing is going to influence how we do the pre-con too. But even if the first course is in North Carolina, it really wears Maya's ideas for change and her vision. So New York is a front runner no matter who goes first.
Yeah,
Oh, that's why we love her.
Scott is being kind. Like part of things is knowing who to glom onto. Like that's part of things is who's got the good ideas and who can you pull in. And the fact that I was able to insert myself into, well, I guess a Zoom conference room full of experts. And then, I would say I'm nowhere near an expert, but I can provide the perspective of somebody who just recently learned this stuff. And so I feel really, really lucky that we have people like Scott and Mike Redliner and Mike Tegman and Remley Crow and people who are, this is what they do. And they have such a amazing understanding of the concepts and also how to teach them. So I'm super excited. I taught a little regional course here just within our region, and just talking about the curriculum and thinking about how we redesigned the curriculum. I've already sort of thought about how do I redesign what I've taught already, because it's been so influential just to see sort of their perspective and sort of what are the fine points and really, what are the key components of methodology.
I just want to give a quick shout out to the listeners, because this course that we're talking about, the NAEMSP EMS Quality Improvement Safety courses, it's actually a 2-dayer on May 6th and May 7th. So it's going to be something awesome, and we're going to be really looking forward to this.
We're really looking forward to it as well. Let me insert one other little point that I was reflecting on your last speaker, who was talking about not really having much interest in sitting through a lecture. And a big part of what Kevin and I originally envisioned in the course, and we've tinkered with it a little bit, but this core really remains, which is in an 8-hour day, there's maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours of lecture. People will leave the course with tools that they've been playing with all day around setting a project aim, figuring out how to measure, how do you make change. And so for people that are ADD poster children, which is, I believe, most of us in EMS, they won't have to sit still very long.
That's awesome.
So guys, who are we looking for to take this course? I mean, who is this? Who do we want the audience to be? Who should be looking at this course?
So honestly, I think it should be anyone who has an interest in taking better care of patients at their agency. And it does not have, I think people have a perception, I think having somebody within your agency leadership is useful. I think ideally sending like a team from your agency. So you send 2 to 3 people at least from an agency, so that you have multiple people within an agency, because I think you need that core group of people to bounce ideas off, right? And then in addition, you've already generated your first follower, right? Rather than having one person who's the leader who has to sort of go out there and then come back and translate all these ideas locally, you have somebody else at your agency who's already there, so that you guys can work together to implement change. And change management is one of the things that we cover in the course, or how do you start implementing these projects and gain followership within your own agency for those. So ideally, I would say it's teams, but I think it doesn't, right? Real change comes from not the top, but from the bottom, right? Like from the people. I think one of the fundamental issues with what we do in EMS is that people at the top are like, this is what we need to do. But when we think about how do we make change, right? Looking at the core factors, what are the low-hanging fruit of things to actually make a difference? It really requires the people who are out there taking care of patients, right? Like if I want to address, for example, scene time for STEMI at my individual agency because things are so long, right? The people who haven't been responding to the STEMIs, right, don't actually have a sense of sort of what the dynamics are in scene, can't actually sort of break down those factors and really come up with theories of what are the low-hanging fruit for improvement and come up with good theories of change to implement. And so I think that's one of the things that we sort of tend to do wrong is we sort of always focus on the top. So I think ideally it's teams, but it does not need to be the boss, and it does not only need to be ALS agencies. I think agencies who do first response and BLS, right? There's so much of what we do, we undervalue the role of BLS in, and most of the things that we look at evidence-based measures and things that have really significant impact on outcomes for stroke and cardiac arrest and the rest of those are BLS things. And I think, so it's really for everybody. But if people can send a team, 2 to 3 from an agency, I think it gives them a head start in going home and saying, like, what is something that's really important, already starting that conversation of what is something really important to work on. The last component of it is you start developing a project. And the nice thing is you start developing a project in the midst of a network of other people who all also want to develop projects at home and course faculty who've previously implemented change projects, so you can get feedback. And I think just like, the nice thing about the conference is you build this professional network. I think attending a course like this also lets you build a professional network of people who can be mentors, but also people who share the vision of how do we actually take better care of patients in EMS? How do we actually have quality, true quality, not reprimand, which is not at all what quality is, but often how we think about it.
Yeah. No, and let me spring off a couple of the things that Maya said. It's absolutely, we love it when teams come. And in my mind, the optimal team includes the medical director and whoever's responsible for quality, because then when they go back home, they have that ability. It's like if you've gone to see the same movie and you're both sitting afterwards saying, you remember in that scene when they did this and that, and you've got this shared experience. And so I think that's true. The other nice thing about having a medical director and a quality person or whoever does education quality, that kind of a role, is they have the capacity right now to use those skills back home. A frontline provider at any level, sometimes they have to work to get somebody else charged up about it. But 2 or 3 people from an organization are really great. And then the other thing is that whole network is really critical. And we have started a Slack channel for people who've attended this course, as well as we have a year-long course. And it's interesting, I don't get into the alumni Slack channel too often, but the buzzing that goes on in there among people, I'm trying to fix this. Has anybody done that before? And almost always somebody will come up and go, well, yeah, we did that last year. And so it provides a real powerful network for people to continue growing their skills.
That's awesome.
Doug, one of the things I'm excited about is if we can get more physicians to this conference and medical directors to this conference. And I know Maya and I talked about this, I believe maybe in 2019. This sort of thing is needed. I think that an increase in interaction between providers and medical directors.
Absolutely.
I know here we don't see that a whole lot, and it's frustrating. And I think maybe both parties are to blame in some instances, but I'm super excited to incorporate more of an EMS physician type of presence at the conference.
It's needed.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
I agree, and I think my dream, I would agree with Scott, is if you can get your medical director to come with you, right? And we have somebody from leadership, a frontline provider, and a medical director as a team attending a course like this, I think you already have the core of the components for change in your organization, right? You've got people sort of thinking about a vision of where you want things to go. And that's super exciting. And for any medical directors, you cannot beat the location of this conference. Like, I mean, my family would kill me if I didn't go to this conference. I go with my family every year. It's like the one conference I bring my kids and my husband to, and they're like, "Oh no, Lake Placid, that's vacation." I was like, "Well, mommy's teaching," but they're like, "But it's family vacation." And I think being able to sort of integrate, getting to go see, like this super awesome professional community, a bunch of the providers, like EMS providers at our region, all come up to this conference. And I mean, it's just the best. It's the absolute best. So yeah, like if I wanted to take a year off, my kids would kill me. So.
Wow. You told them where you're coming this year, right?
Yeah, they were they were super bummed. Actually, this year, my son, his school Spanish trip to New York City, which obviously was canceled anyway,
right.
was at the same time. And I looked at the dates and I was like, dude, like, he's saying, I was like, dude, that's the same time as we're going to Lake Placid. And he's like, I can go to New York City another time. I want to go to Lake Placid. I was like,
there you go.
So,
nice.
Yeah. So. And he's a teenager.
The Adirondacks were a bit biased, but you can't beat it.
It is pretty. I haven't spent a lot of time there, but it is very nice. So
yeah, it's beautiful, and it's just really fun. So
we love it.
Well, we live here. We kind of take it for granted sometimes, but it is beautiful. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for chiming in and taking the time to talk about this course. We're super excited to host it and so thankful that you guys are willing to bring it to IAC in 2021.
And Travis?
Yes.
Yeah, don't forget that Maya's also doing a couple other courses on the 8th and the 9th. So she's not only doing this course, but she'll be with us the whole weekend.
She never gets out of it easily.
No, I think there was a bunch of things that I signed up to teach, but they're all my favorite things. So
there you go.
And she's an excellent presenter, by the way. So,
well, while I'm in town, if you need me to do something else, I'd be happy to chip in.
Thank you, sir.
So,
oh yeah,
very much appreciated.
You definitely use Scott as the offer. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, guys. Well, thanks very much. I'm going to have to hop off here in a couple of minutes, but thanks for the opportunity to talk about the course. We hope to see a lot of New Yorkers there.
Thank you, Scott. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Guys.
Thanks,
you
Mike.
too.
Night.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Okay, pal. Where we at now?
Well, we are doing a lot of good things, but specifically, I was wondering how we're doing with hotel rooms.
Hotel rooms, yeah. So hotel rooms, we talked about this in that little broadcast we did a few weeks back. Hotel rooms they're selling, and quite frankly, we eat up a lot of those hotel rooms with master bill hotel rooms. We put up speaker things, and what I would say is don't wait too long. There may be 30 or 40 rooms left there at the Queensbury Hotel. I'll have to check the numbers.
Facility.
Yep, the Queensbury Hotel recently renovated top to bottom, which is going to be really nice. And these rooms, Doug, you and I toured the rooms.
Well, yeah, no, I would have to agree. And some of the information that we have on this place is just amazing. This hotel has been around for over 100 years. And, right now I'm just looking at it, how it's changed ownership over time. But this local businessman named Ed Moore that purchased it in 2016. His management team of Spruce Hospitality has been doing a great job. And new management group's done a multi-million-dollar renovation project on this place. It is amazing. If you're looking at the background of where we are right now, that's the main lobby. It's beautiful. And for somebody that's lived in this town a while, I'll be honest, there was a connotation of this place that, it was probably like middle of the road. I don't think it was ever below par, but it was like middle of the road. And after Travis and I went through there and seeing what they've done with this place, nice.
Yeah.
Just beautiful.
Yeah, they've done a phenomenal job. I can't wait to show it to you guys. And we've done a complete buyout of the property, so we have the entire property to ourselves, which is going to be
Exciting.
quite the atmosphere. Yeah, for sure. So if you're interested in booking a room at this point, you can go to initialassessmentconference.com, and you can go to the page for that, and you can get yourself booked with a room. You can also call the hotel directly if you want. And actually, Doug, I'm just going to pop this up here for our live folks, and you can kind of see another shot of the
yeah
lobby.
If you want to take me off the screen so they can see a bigger picture, feel free.
Let's see. We're going to throw this up here as well. So if you go to the website and you click on the conference venue and hotel tab, you're going to see there all the information about the Queensbury Hotel and how you can book your rooms. You just click reserve here. That'll take you straight to their website, and the promo code and things will be in there. It's all set up so you can book your room, or again, there's a phone number you can call, mention the conference, and you can book your rooms. But again, I wouldn't wait too long, that's for sure, and get your rooms booked. It's going to be a good time.
And there is additional hotel space at a secondary hotel that they own, and it might as well be a good time, better than any, to mention Tim the shuttle guy. He's going to get us back and forth from there.
Tim the shuttle guy is back. If you were at IAC 2019, you probably had the pleasure of riding along with Tim the shuttle guy at some point. Tim is just a phenomenal guy, took such good care of us. And for those who haven't been, if you're listening to this now or afterwards, Tim the shuttle guy will be driving an IAC van, a passenger van that's quite comfortable and large. And he will take you to your destination. So if you want to go out to the brewery, or if you want to go to one of the restaurants downtown, everything's within walking distance, but maybe it's raining, or you need to go to the grocery store, or whatever the case may be, Tim is going to take care of you. And of course, we want people to be safe. We want people to have a good time, but that's a big part of it too. We don't want people driving when they shouldn't be driving. So Tim is coming back, and I know he's excited about it. And everybody raved over the service, so should be good.
Yep.
So Doug, I think we have a couple guys waiting to chime in here.
I'm sure we do.
Let's take
Looking at our schedule
before they leave out of.
Oh God, I hope not. Mommy.
Oh, look at this guy. All right.
How are we doing? Oh, you got to unmute him, buddy.
Let's see.
Hey, how are you?
Welcome.
Good. Let's see. Let's get Rom unmuted. Oh my God, it's Rom Duckworth.
Hello.
Hello.
Connecticut. Hi, Rom.
How are you?
There's Patrick. Patrick, I hope I don't butcher your last name. Is it Bavaro?
Bavaro, Bravo, whatever you want to call me. I'll go by whatever you want.
He'll answer to anything. So, hey, thanks for chiming in, guys. Many of you probably know Rom Duckworth. He's almost as famous as Mike McAvoy these days. He trots around the globe and spreads all this awesome knowledge, and he's quite the IAC regular, that's for sure. And Patrick is from Hantevi, and he's got some exciting things that we're going to talk about. Patrick, you're down in Florida, right?
Yeah, so we're down here in Broward County, the heart of COVID-19 in Florida. Yeah, I'm born and raised out here.
I feel for you guys because New York and the greater New York City area, for one, got hit pretty hard, and now you guys are going through it. So, thoughts are with you guys. Hopefully, it calms down soon. But Yeah, so Patrick, you're with Hand Tevi, and one of the things, Doug, one of the new things that we're adding as we rolled over a lot of the schedule from 2020, but we're adding this Hand Tevi instructor course, which I'm super excited about. Patrick, do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about Hand Tevi and what this instructor course is?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Hand Tevi in itself is really the full system of care. It covers two main components: an actual system that's used in the field with clinicians and patients, and then we cover a robust educational platform. And just like many of you guys, I come from a background of fire EMS out here in South Florida as a paramedic, and to me, the kind of standard of care, at least the educational component for the last 20, 30 years, has always been American Heart, PALS. That's what everyone kind of knows and grew up with. And in my own opinion, and Doc Antevi's opinion, and kind of our team's opinion here, PALS has the right science, they have the right medicine, they cover a lot of that already in things like ACLS and during initial paramedic training and in the field. But one thing that we really haven't been able to achieve in the pre-hospital realm of acute pediatric care is learning how to operationalize working with mom and dad, divvying out roles amongst crew members, looking at these patients more comfortably, more confidently. And that's really what this course is about. It's about taking that same science, same medicine that we already know as paramedics, and now teaching and learning how to operationalize that into that pre-hospital acute environment. So we've been doing these courses all over the country, have thousands of Hand Tevi instructors now nationwide. And I think this will be our first venture out to New York. So we're very excited for this course.
I'm excited that this is another first for New York. That's two presentations in a row that we were just
discussing. Floridians are coming up to New York.
Yeah, well, that's it. Cuomo lets you. Anyway, I'm excited about this Hand Tevi system because, in case our listeners don't know, in New York State, we're really pressing hard on the pediatric emergency care coordinator position. The Department of Health has been on all the EMS agencies to go ahead and stress this. And participating in the GEMS conference last March, in the beginning of March, and I believe I met you there, Patrick. I know, Rami, you were there. You were receiving a nice award. But I want to say that that's where it really kind of hit me when I realized Dr. Antevi's kind of position on the modalities of learning, specifically as phases 1 and 2, and then thinking, oh my gosh, if we can go ahead and make people so relaxed on pediatric cardiac arrests by using the Hand Tevi system, I brought that back with me from the conference. We instituted at our home volunteer emergency squad, and within the next 3 weeks, we're going to actually be giving it to our paramedics, the Hand Tevi system itself. So I am completely stoked about this. Love it.
Us too. Yeah, no, I think it really just comes down to a change in what we call dogmalysis. It's kind of just our thinking process as to what we've been told for the longest time. Because if you look at adult medicine, especially with cardiac arrests, the algorithms and a lot of the science and medicine, again, remains the same, whether it's pediatrics or adults. But when you look at a pediatric arrest patient, they're always caused by, at least typically caused by something underlying, respiratory failure, hypovolemia, something is causing that event to take place. And when we look at our adult patients, we're staying on scene for 20, 25 minutes, administering good first-line care, doing good compressions, good BLS foundation of care as well. And we're getting good ROS rates. When we look at our pediatric patients, we're having the mentality of wanting to scoop the kid, get to the hospital as quickly as possible. We're scared to do things because, again, pediatrics, they shouldn't be sick. They're unnatural to us to find in that environment. But taking a different approach and kind of making a more of a approach that we take with our adult patients is really what I think is needed. And the data out there now kind of proves that that is correct. And staying on scene and doing that first line care like we do with our adults is really important.
And it means so much because I was just doing a pediatric pit crew kind of unofficial thing with our agency last week. And not only resuscitating these people, but the kids especially, keeping them neurologically intact, letting them get home to their families is such the big difference. Great, you got a pulse back. They're not going back to their families. What's it matter? And to know that this system is scientifically proven in your home county, as a matter of fact, I think it's a phenomenal system, and the science is there. It's awesome.
We're very excited.
So Ram, you're coming. How many years have you been coming to IAC? It's been a while, right?
It has been a while. I stopped counting after 4 or 5 because it jumps quickly to me. I'm at that point in my life where I don't like to keep counting that high.
Yeah.
How's the family? Good.
Doing really well. Doing really well. We're tucked in. We're able to at least get out to the beach a little bit. We live in a, we're not up in the Adirondacks, but we're in our version here in Connecticut. So our little town is Sherman. We got our little Sherman Beach on the lake, and we're keeping it quiet, but keeping it wet during this hot little heat wave we got going on. I mean, it's not Florida hot, but it's hot.
Yeah, I'll argue with you there.
So one of the things I always enjoy is the energy, passion that you bring to IAC and pretty much everything that you do. Doug, what do we have lined up for Ram at the conference this year? You have the schedule there in front of you?
I have it at my fingertips, only I don't have his screen brought right up. So give me about a couple seconds. What I will tell you about the liveliness that you just discussed, though, if you saw him in Tampa, phenomenal. I walked out of there. That was probably one of the best things I've seen him do. And,
Wait, you walked out on me?
No, when I walked out, when you were complete.
With the lighting, I knew somebody was walking out on me. I couldn't see. I didn't know it was you.
Absolutely phenomenal keynote address at EMS today.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
Phenomenal.
So his programs that he's doing on May 6th, it's COVID-19, protests, civil unrest, and more. On the 7th, he's doing 4 steps to successful succession planning. He's also doing O2, Oh No. You've probably been managing ventilation differently. Designer drug evolution, more on recreational pharmaceuticals. And then on the 8th, he's doing training and education of your agency, 30 tips in 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's the exciting that first one that you mentioned is that roundtable on Thursday, right? Yeah, that's gonna be good. Ram, what are you excited about here going into IAC 21?
It's not a fair question to ask me because I'm excited about everything. If I wasn't excited about it, I wouldn't be teaching it.
True. It's true.
I'm excited to share our perspective on how we manage things, COVID wise, for our career or a combination department. We're a small department, but we were very fortunate to have a lot of resources. And I really mean, we're flat out lucky to have a lot of resources at our disposal in terms of PPE and a lot of the stuff that we needed. And I think that helped us put down some really serious protections in place, protective policies and practices in place early. And it really helped us move through really, really well. And I think, even though we didn't have a very, very broad perspective and we weren't in the urban areas of New York City, being close enough in the suburbs, we had quite a few outbreaks, but we were able to handle it internally really, really well. So, like I say, while we were lucky in some places, I want to be able to share some of the practices that we did that were really, really successful, and that I think will translate to a lot of other places. And I really want to hear other people's stories. I'm fascinated to hear the challenges that other people ran into, and the things that they found were successful, and the things they found that they would do differently going forward. Because I think we're going to be dealing with this challenge for a while, but I really think a lot of these lessons learned we're going to be able to apply to different challenges that we're going to have in the future that may not be exactly the same, but we're going to take that background information, maybe jumble it around a little bit and go, hey, this is going to be tough. I know not everybody's going to love doing it, but I'm telling you, if you do A, B, C, we're going to have the best outcome that's even possible in these tragic circumstances. And I think that's really important, both for individual providers as well as for whole systems of care.
Now, are you, Ram, are you in a tourist area there? Is tourism a big component of your community?
A little bit. there's a lot of lake attractions. I mean, it's not the size of Lake George, but there's a lot of lake attractions the same kind of way. A lot of water skiing and boats and such, and a tremendous amount. We're close enough to New York City where we're sort of the extended suburbs, but we're far enough out that when people started moving out of the city in droves, this is where they were coming to. Either they were looking for just open rentals that are a normal part of our lakeside communities that were getting sort of flooded with people. And literally around in my little neighborhood, and Sherman, Connecticut is right on the New York State border down here in Westchester County. We had a ton of people who are, they own whatever, summer homes or weekend homes and stuff right around me, all my neighbors. And all of a sudden they had like 3 families living with them. So, it was just and that was probably the biggest impact, less people coming through and all of a sudden more people sort of taking up space.
And how about the timing of that? Because typically around Memorial Day, you're seeing everybody come in for the summer season, but all of a sudden a pandemic hits and you're in the end of March and boom, places fall.
Yes. Yeah. And the funny thing is it's sort of, at least where I work, down a little bit further south in Ridgefield, Connecticut, there was some of that. But then a lot of the Ridgefield residents tend to pack up and head out in mid-July and August, and our call volume tends to drop off quite a bit, sort of the flip tourist season. And that is not happening because everybody's staying close. So we sort of had that initial drop where everybody locked down tight and, we had fewer calls, but each call took a lot more resources and a lot more effort and a lot more PPE. And now the calls are coming back up again right when we would normally see them drop off. So it's very hard for us to adapt to that, to juggle.
Well, we certainly had a call volume drop off here, and quite frankly, we dealt with some of the same issues. I know Doug works with an agency that's on Lake George, and most of the seasonal homes or the second homes that typically wouldn't fill up until probably Memorial Day weekend, quite frankly, they were full, March, April, May, they were full. And I don't think it had a huge impact on our COVID numbers, probably because people were hunkered down, even though they came from New York City or New Jersey or wherever it may be. But, I should imagine it's got to be completely different for you, Patrick, down there. I don't necessarily. I mean, I realize people snowbird, and your population might increase, but what is the impact down there? What's it look like right now?
Well, the population down here is always high. One thing that I always hate over here is just the traffic, regardless of what time of year it is. But I know that down here when it first hit us, and this was right after EMS Day. I remember coming back from the conference, and one of the people that actually tested positive. I remember a newsletter going around from EMS Today afterwards. One of them that got tested positive, we knew he was actually one of the local fire chiefs down here, who unfortunately ended up succumbing to COVID-19 related problems. But he, this whole area down here, the consensus for call volume and the hospital and everything like that dropped down as well for a period of time. And then just recently started kind of going back up to what it was at before, but and maybe even a little bit higher, but definitely COVID-19 now, the response rates are much higher. We're doing a lot more testing down here. Doc Antebi, you guys have been seeing it. He's been doing a lot of our testing kits down here, and we're sending kits out to places in Arkansas, Colorado. And so, we're having these 15-minute tests done to help, get the numbers out and get a better response out. But it's definitely been a busy time of the year so far. So, but we expect it to probably stay that way too, because again, the population hasn't really changed much down here on summertime.
Wow. So one of the things too, Patrick, I'm super excited about. I'm excited about all of this stuff, and my God, is it May yet? But
it's excited to be talking about going out of state again, traveling.
I know.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm excited about is, is we've somehow nailed down with this crazy schedule Dr. Antevi himself, right?
Yeah.
You and I worked on that, and Dr. Antevi will be up now. Is he teaching the Antevi instructor course?
Yep. So I think the one that probably came out of COVID was all of his other conferences got canceled. So you're able to fit the schedule. But so yeah, he's going to be teaching the course, and he's also going to be keynoting at the conference, which we're super excited about. He has a very dynamic lecture pool that he tends to talk on. But having him, the creator of the Hands Heavy system and the education that we preach here at Hands Heavy, he's just a super passionate educator and a very dynamic lecturer. So if you're planning to go to this conference and you're planning to be at the keynote, which I hope everyone's going to be, be prepared for a very awesome lecture, very awesome educational session as well through the instructor course. Get the chance to go out to it. But we're super. I mean, you guys have some awesome speakers lined up for this conference, so we're very, very fortunate to be a part of it. And I think I made a mistake too by telling my wife to join me in this. She hopped on this the Facebook Live video here to kind of see what's going on with the conference, and I probably should have told her to stay off it because you guys started showing all these awesome rooms and.
No. If we can get her to come with you, then you guys are going to be regulars here. That's kind of what we're looking for. On that note, I want to make sure that everybody knows that Dr. Antevi is going to be the keynote on May 7th, the opening keynote. I am biased because I did see him in Tampa and on one of his private sessions and another bunch of physicians. But again, his methodologies are definitely altering in EMS leadership. And if you are going to be comfortable with a pediatric cardiac arrest and his system, but even if you don't purchase his system, he's just hugely valuable to listen to. Very smart man. So again, you got the pre-hospital pediatric instructor course with the Hands Heavy system, the opening keynote, and then there's also another one he's going to be doing later that day before he takes off. Pediatric cases, you make the call.
Yeah, no, very good. There's very good options for those lectures, so we're excited for them.
Now, are we doing a vending table for Hands Heavy as well? Are you staying beyond Friday?
So I'll be at the vending table. I'll be at the course. I'll be assisting Pete or Dr. Antevi during the instructor course, but we will be vending as well. So we'll be out there showcasing the Hands Heavy system. And the nice thing, coming from EMS again down here in South Florida, the one system that again everyone knows, is the Braslo tape, and there's nothing wrong necessarily with the Braslo tape. That's what we all know as clinicians for the most part. But one of the things that it's kind of done is that it's very generic. So a lot of the medications on that tape might not necessarily correlate to the protocol, the pharmacology that you carry. So the system that Hands Heavy has created is really tailored and aligned to the specific agency that we work with, which helps eliminate math and just be a little bit more safe for both the clinician and the patient.
A good summation to a lot of those products are on YouTube. He has a couple good videos on what it's about. So
yeah, and Hands Heavy minutes too. Those are a lot of good tidbits on some different tips and tricks for pediatric care. So if you don't even get to go to the conference, check out the Hands Heavy minutes. They're just educational sessions, nothing product related, and you'll really enjoy them.
Let me tell you, as far as Hands Heavy goes, I mean, the fact as an EMT, as a basic EMT, that I can use my hand and come up with these drug dosages to be able to help out my medic partner or whatever, and do it that easily and that confidently is just really, really amazing. I'm so glad, Doug, that I believe one of your agencies is going to be the first here in our region, anyway, in upstate New York, to buy into the system.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with too many in our immediate region. I'm sure there's other New York companies that are in it, but no, one of North Queensbury EMS as well as Lake George are going in together and doing something, to share resources and train together. And yeah, we're looking forward to it.
No, good stuff. Good stuff. Ram, is the boy excited? 2021.
He is. He's very, very excited. He his 2019, his IAC 2019 T-shirt is still his favorite night shirt, and I swear to you, my almost 6-year-old son now still goes to bed in that shirt every night and is super excited about it.
And such a proper young man, I might add. Just so polite.
Well, thank you.
Well,
Oh,
you
man.
tell him it's not the Golden Arrow Resort, but we'll take good care of him. That's
Oh, he's super excited. He's super excited to see everybody. You know, the funny thing is, so since his school, he's just in pre-K, or was, just in pre-K. So it was sort of his first round of school, such as it is. And he didn't get to see his friends anymore towards the end of school, and being as he's just beginning school, that was a little confusing to him and stuff. And we've managed to connect them on video and stuff like that, and he gets very excited. But he knows that the conferences that we would normally be going to, like IAC, were canceled, and he kept asking me, like, "Are we still going to see Mr. McAvoy? Do you miss all your friends?" And I say, "Oh no, we still get to talk to everybody. It's okay, just like you do. We're excited to see everybody in person when we can do that, but we still get to talk. It's okay." He's very, very concerned that I'm missing everybody. I'm like, I am, but it's okay. We'll all get together again. That's what we're all looking forward to.
Well,
Absolutely.
I mean, thankfully we have technology, right? We're living in this time where we have this great technology, but I got to tell you, I am really kind of sick of Zoom. For one, I'm sick of teaching that way. I'm sick of learning that way. I need, and it may just be me, but I need that interaction. And I think that's what's great about the conference. And, quite frankly, when we had to cancel because of Corona, I had a lot of people say, "Are you going to do a virtual conference?" And a lot of folks are doing them. I mean, EMS World has gone virtual, which is a great thing, because we need to stay connected, and we do need content. We need education. I said enough conferences are doing it. There's enough available on the market, as far as online education, and some of it's very good. Quite frankly, there's a lot of good education out there that you can get electronically, but that's not what IAC is about. It's about getting people together and really walking away with new connections or refreshed connections, and feel like you're solving problems in EMS and advancing EMS. And that's, I said, no, we're not going to do anything virtual. We'll punt to 2021, and we'll do it bigger and better than we did before. But so I'm excited for it. I just, boy, that trip to Florida, man, I'd love to make that trip again. That was our last travel.
Yeah,
it was
kind of
I didn't get to leave my state. I went only 2 hours west, and I was in Tampa. That was my last trip.
Yeah.
Didn't even get to escape.
Yeah. It ended right after that, and to be quite honest, some of us came down with some interesting ailments that the country is dealing with right now. But in a way, you can credit the conference for making sure I got over it real quick. But it's hard to fathom that conferences really have been put on a hold, and when they start to resume, whenever it may be, it's going to go wild. And I think IAC is right there ready for it.
It's funny that you say that, because I don't wind up I wind up having a lot of deadline articles for publications. I'm constantly keeping up with that, so I sort of don't update my own personal blog very often. But around April, after we got back from Tampa and sort of started settling in, I wrote a blog post because I'd heard so many people talking about it and trying to figure out what we were going to be doing with conferences, and sort of asking the question, is this the end of in-person EMS education, especially the bigger conferences? And I started off by saying, in my mind, I'm hoping that this opens up a lot of new ideas and improves online education, because there's a lot of opportunity there. We got to figure it out. More people have to figure it out, and more people have to accept that when online education, like you're saying, Travis and Doug, when it's done well, it's great. There's so much you can do with it, and but But I ended it saying there's no way this is the end of conferences and getting together, because those soft skills, those personal connections that you're talking about, the things that really I think help us take that knowledge and apply it in our own personal practice and in our own service. That's the kind of thing that conferences really, really excel at, that face-to-face interaction, that Q&A, and even in talking about like that, the hand-heavy classes, just as an example, talking to other people who are using the system, other instructors. I mean, getting a chance to talk to Peter at all, for anybody who does, or even just to listen to him, he's the real deal. And really talks about, how you can make it happen. And while a lot of the videos are great, and there's certainly fantastic takeaways, man, we are going to be getting together. Humans are social animals, and we just take so much away from that interaction. And I think especially just that boost that we need, that I think this is the right way to be doing it, but it's so hard sometimes, and not everybody listens, and not everybody's doing it the right way. And you need to get together at conferences with other like-minded individuals to, kind of pat you on the shoulder and just go, yeah, fight the good fight. You're doing it right. You're doing it right. It makes a difference. Know that you're making a difference in lives, even if, you don't get a chance to always see that difference. I'm telling you, you're making that difference, and hopefully fill you up enough with that energy to take that knowledge then and make a real difference in your hometown.
You're nailing it, man. This is a field of communication. This is a field of ensuring that we know we're doing things right by talking to others. And you're right. A lot of that online stuff is excellent, good tidbits here and there, but we need to do the same thing when we train and when we network, and we learn so much more being there in person.
I answered that question in a similar manner, Ducky. The movers and the shakers, the people who are really interested in advancing EMS and moving EMS forward, are going to get together. There's going to be conferences. There's going to be in-person conferences, and there's, quite frankly, there's always going to be that segment of clinicians and EMS leaders who aren't going to leave their sandbox. We're not going to get everybody out of their sandbox into these conferences, but I tell you, the ones who make a difference, regardless of their certification level, the position that they hold, it's because they get out of their sandbox and they interact with people in a joint effort to make things better. That's how we're going to advance our profession.
No doubt. No doubt.
Awesome.
So Patrick, I'm, listen, I'll send your wife some information on Lake George and Saratoga Springs, and there's some great shopping and some hiking and some boating and some great breweries and restaurants.
Yeah, thank you. Describe it some more, please.
Now, are either of you coming in for the golf tournament? Patrick, I know is maybe up in the air.
I was telling Pete that I'm not a very good golfer, but I'll be his caddy boy just to bring around his golf clubs with him if he needs me to, because I'm in for a good game of golf and doing poorly, but whatever. But I'm excited for that.
We all do poorly. We drink and we eat well. We don't necessarily golf well, but we raise money and we have a good time in memory of our friend Rich Beebe.
Paramedic education.
Yeah, to support paramedic education. That's what this money goes to. We raise this money each year and we give it to paramedic students to help pay for books or tuition or whatever it is. And, that's something that our friend Rich, who passed away, a handful of years ago, that's what he was passionate about, was helping others and being that mentor type. So it's a good time. If you can make it, you won't be disappointed. And Ram, bring Betsy and bring the boy and stick him on a golf cart, and we'll get him some clubs. And
I'll look the other way. He can drive.
Come on, it's a little car for a little boy. It'll be fine.
Yep. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? The golf course is going to be scattered with EMTs and paramedics.
Right, they're all there, and the hand-heavy system for the pediatric.
There you go.
Oh man. Thank you guys so much for chiming in tonight. And so it's so good to see both of you. Patrick, we've talked a lot. So it's good to see you, and Ram, always good to see you, my man. Can't wait to you were talking and that energy started to come out, man. And that's what I love about you. You're so passionate, and you bring it every year for us.
I'm excited. It's my audience, man. I love the audience for IAC. Talk about reaching out and connecting with people who want to make so much of a difference. Not just people who are consuming oxygen and expel carbon dioxide just for the required amount of time. These are people who are asking questions. So thank you for putting it together for everybody, and personally, thank you from me and my family. It's such a great experience.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I think we're gonna let you go so Doug and I can wrap this up. We're at it now for going on an hour and a half. So that's one long episode one. But we really wanted to dive into some of the schedule tonight, and we certainly appreciate you guys coming on talking about what you're going to be working on with us. So
thank you.
Thank you very much.
You both all right. Take care. Stay healthy.
You as well. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
All right. Okay, buddy. Where are we at? I know we had some going on we wanted to talk about, but it's so difficult. It's so difficult to not get engrossed in conversation with these people.
Do you know how much longer we could have gone with all of those guests?
I know.
Oh my God. But
so I'm just gonna. Why don't you take a look at the list? I just want to see if there's any questions here on Facebook. People have been.
Well, while you look at that, I'm going to go ahead and tackle some of the things that are on the list that we have here. Specifically, I want to ensure that a lot of this couldn't be done without the sponsors for our event. And if you go to the website, you can see a lot of them that are listed. But some of the few that I want to point out personally, because they've been hugely big supporters all throughout the years. But number one is EMR. Emergency Management Resources, Peter Berry, Chris Kostian, his group, completely great with the conference, always supportive, and we always are appreciative of them participating in it. We have the app sponsor, LifeNet of New York, great organization, and they've been doing great business in our area of the state, so we want to make sure we give kudos to them. We have VCI Emergency Vehicles. They do a great job. We have a lot of vendors are on the floor, and you'll be happy to see them there as well. We also have Mercy Flight this year, so that's going to be interesting to see them. I know I work with them in other areas of the state as well, so it's going to be great to see that team back. And then our QI partners, and I did actually see them in, I think it was the St. Elizabeth's EMS conference in Kentucky. And that was the first time. There was some really interesting data that's coming from them in regards to doing CPR training quarterly that can raise your ROSC rates significantly. So I thought that was hugely impressive. So you're also going to see them there. So those are some main sponsors I wanted everybody to know about. And I can move on to another topic unless you have any questions, Travis.
No real questions. I'm just checking out Facebook here. Charles Nurko is on. Hi, awesome. Charles, and
hello,
the entire
Charles.
Family. Yep. And he says we love Tim. Everybody loves Tim. Absolutely. Swanky. The Queensbury Hotel is. I got to tell you this. I don't want to be a dead horse, but Doug mentioned they put all this money into it. They renovated this really historic property, and just a really nice. It has that old charm, but they've renovated it. They've brought back. They've brought the property back to life. If you like boutique hotels, you're gonna love this property.
And historical. When you go through the hotel right now, you will see pictures and images of old Glens Falls, and dating back 50 to 60 to 100 years. some of these things that they have on the walls just shows the authenticity and the history behind the area and the hotel. So it's really, really nice. And we're looking forward to using it this year.
Absolutely. If you want to stay at the Queensbury, guys, book your room sooner rather than later. You can go to initialassessmentconference.com, click on the venue and hotel tab, and reserve your room. Okay. You can also call the Queensbury. We do have another property that we're going to be using for rooms, but if you want to be on site the entire week or weekend, get there and reserve those rooms. They are going quite quickly.
You're going to want to, especially if we close that block in between that and the park. Are we going to do that? Are we still working on it?
Yeah. We're shutting down one of the streets in front of the hotel. We're actually shutting down the street, and
That's exciting.
Yeah, we're going to be doing some fun things there, shutting down an entire street in the city. So, boy, the city of Glens Falls and Queensbury Hotel, they've been really great to work with, and that's just one more reason to get excited. We're shutting down downtown. We're taking it over.
I'll give a good pop to downtown Glens Falls as well. I know you and I have lived here for a while, and we take a lot of it for granted. But for people that have not been here, let me tell you, our E5 office is in downtown Glens Falls now, has been for a year and a half, and it's one of the best moves in 10 years that I've ever did for the company. 2 blocks away, Craft on 9, Mikado, a Japanese, what do you call them? Steak place that, it's phenomenal. And then you have other craft breweries, Davidson Brothers, Social Downtown Bar and Grill, the Bullpen. We can go on and on with the restaurants and the delicacies and the kind of foods that they have in the area, but you are not going to go hungry whatsoever. And the Charles R. Wood Theater is right in the heart of it, a block and a half away from where the hotel is. I mean, you don't need a car. So it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, it's such a great venue. And I got one other. What is this comment here? Eric Fitzgerald, buying the whole thing out is smart. Less outside witnesses.
It's about education. It's about education, networking.
Yeah, it is. But it's a nice escape for people too. I think we've almost hit everything here. The only other thing I had, Doug, was we've got all of this. The schedule's up, guys. Okay, so you can check out the schedule by going to initialassessmentconference.com, download the app, IAC 2021 in the App Store on Google Play. But Doug, one of the things, the last thing probably here I want to talk about is the CAPC accreditation.
Yeah.
E5 Support Services, your company's been a partner of ours now since 2011. You handle all of our credentialing, which we appreciate more than you know. But this is huge for us because as we get people from across the state, whether it's National Registry or we get folks who come in from neighboring states, and we've gotten a lot of questions about CAPC accreditation. So do you want to tell the folks what that's about?
Sure, not a problem. In the past, it's been pretty simple. Our organization has had the highest level of expertise when it comes to credentialing in New York State. Being a paramedic, New York CIC, and nationally certified myself, I kind of know what a lot of our providers need to research, and the staff that we have also assists in this because there's so many that we do each year. But when we started this many years ago, and Travis reached out to me and just asked for a hand with this, I can remember it like it was yesterday. I'm like, sure, not knowing what I'm getting myself into. It was rather simple the first couple of years with a couple little hurdles that we had to jump over. But as time progressed and as things went on, we continued to credential everything in New York, and people were asking from Canada, from Vermont, from Pennsylvania, Ohio, that's great that you credential it, but how much does it benefit me back in my home state or country? And as our company grew, we started to think about that a little bit more. And I'm like, what is behind this CAPC stuff? And so as I went to conferences myself, I started asking questions, and the members at CAPSI have been phenomenal. They've been very helpful, and they look at all platforms of education, from video online and what's called VILT training to in-person and classroom, and then the all automatically online, which a lot of people do right now just through modules and no interaction. And they credential a lot of good agencies that have the potential to do it. But it's not a simple process, and you have to go through their credentialing process. So we started it just when COVID hit. So we put it down for a little bit, and then we picked it right back up. We were aiming to have everything set up for the last conference. So we're in the process right now of putting all our stuff online and getting credentialed. So anybody that is nationally certified and or from around the country that's interested in coming and wants to bring these CMEs back to their home state, we're going to make that happen, and we're proud about that.
That's great. I can't wait for that. And Doug, I think it's probably about time we wrap things up and let the people get back to their night. And if you're listening to this afterwards, we're going to do this. We're going to do this fairly often. We're going to be producing some of these episodes.
I was going to ask you, when's number 2 coming? When's number 2?
Well,
episode 2.
I don't know. I think we've had fun, so we're gonna take a look, and we're gonna bring you some more interviews, and we're gonna bring you some more information as we get closer to IAC 2021. But for now, he's Doug Wildermuth. I'm Travis Howe. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. So long.